He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Hi there, hello. Welcome to the Music 101 interview podcast. I'm Charlotte Ryan. Award-winning local musician Troy Kingi has just released his 8th album yesterday. It's called Leatherman and the Mojave Green. And as some of you might remember, Troy Kingi's sort of set this crazy goal to release 10 albums in 10 years, and all 10 albums had to be different genres of music. So this album that Troy's just released is his rock album, inspired by bands like Caius and Queens of the Stone Age, Eagles of Death Metal, and the iconic Desert Sessions. In fact, Troy Kingi took his full band to the legendary studio, which is known for recording those bands and creating that sound, Rancho de la Luna in Joshua Tree, California. I spoke to Troy Kingi to celebrate the release of this album, but we spoke about the recording and what sounds like the very spiritual experience that got captured on film on this brilliant documentary that screens now on rnz.co.nz. It's called Troy Kingi's Desert Hikoi, but also the spiritual and the sort of emotions that were captured on the album. It's so gritty and it's so loud. But as you'll hear, these artists, this album, this sound, this rock sound, was the sound that actually enticed Troy Kingi into the music industry. It was those albums that made him want to record and become a musician. And as you'll hear, he was up in Northland and in a fantastic headspace to talk about Leatherman and the Mojave Green.
I'm good. If you hear any buzzing in the background, my son's getting his peha, his puhoro. So that's the tattoo gun going in the background.
Where is the tattoo?
It's over the buttocks. He's working on the buttocks at the moment. It goes from the knees up. He just got his stomach done this morning, and then it's going to go up his back. But this is our last day, this session, and we come back in October for another 8 days. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's his 21st birthday. He turns 21 next month.
Did you get...
Rite of passage.
Yes, rite of passage. I was about to say,
No, I didn't. Oh. I didn't. I'm too scared.
I'm so looking forward to talking to you about your new album, Leatherman and the Mojave Green. What's a Mojave Green?
Mojave Green is a very, very poisonous snake. There's a story when we got up to the caves. I don't know if you watched the documentary, but when we got to the caves, he says, watch out for Mojave Greens. They run rampant in this area, and it was getting dark. So we had torches on, looking on the rocks as if we were looking for crayfish, but actually trying to stay away from them. And then when we finally get back from the cave back to the cars, he says, wow, that was amazing. It's the first time I've been to the cave at nighttime. And so we're like, oh, you're kidding me. Lucky we didn't die out there.
Your whole journey, it must be so special to have had it captured on film. But before we even get into talking about the process and the recording of the album in Joshua Tree, California, can you tell me, because I heard that you'd sort of hit a wall. This is number 8 in your 10-10-10 journey. And, you know, I've been speaking to you throughout the journey, and I have been worried about your pressure or the pressure. Had you hit a wall, or could you tell me about where you were before you got the opportunity to go to California?
I feel like I hit a wall a couple years ago, to be honest. Like, probably during the Black Sea Golden Ladder with Delaney, and I was lucky to have him to guide me through that album. But like, I'm so proud of the albums that I brought out since then, but they just felt like a lot of work, you know. Going back to earlier albums, I was trying to recapture that. That was the reason why Joshua Tree come up. But just go back to a simpler time when you didn't overthink things and things flowed freely, and you felt positive about the directions you were taking. So I was just trying to recapture that again. And it was just through a comment I made to Matt, who runs AAA Records that I'm with. We were talking about Queens of the Stone Age, and I was wanting to do something similar to Songs for the Deaf, which is my all-time favorite album, something like that for number 8. And then it was his bright idea to go over there. Didn't know how. We just started making calls, and lo and behold, we made it over there. And it was timely. It was perfect timing, and it was a beautiful, beautiful trip. going over there, I had probably three ideas, maybe three unfinished songs, and I was a little bit anxious. We got a massive crew, we got the documentary crew. Felt like there was a bit of pressure, but after doing the trip with Dr. Milanovic up to the cave and doing the sweat lodge and doing the mushroom journey, it just put everything at ease. And I just felt the whole trip, there was no negative vibrations. Everything just seemed to fall into place.
You mentioned the mushroom before. I remember that in the documentary. I, for some reason, wondered if it was the cactus.
Nah, well, initially we were supposed to do ayahuasca initially,
Yes.
and Mark Russell, who also come over to do footage because he's capturing stuff for the whole 10 album documentary, and he's like, I don't know if you should jump headfirst into ayahuasca, especially if you're not that way inclined, like druggy inclined. That one might take you out for a while, and we haven't got a lot of time over there. So he was the one who kind of steered me away from that, saying that I'll be keen to do it at some point. But he's like, you do that, you're probably going to see your ancestors. And so I was like, yeah, that's a bit much. But
Especially
trying to unblock this.
with a camera crew watching you, filming you.
Oh, exactly. And like, I've never taken mushrooms before, and I went over there for purpose to find new neuro pathways and just try things. And I'm glad I did. It was an amazing experience. And I don't know exactly what happened, but I know I woke up the next morning at 4 a.m. and wrote 4 songs before going into the studio. So something magical happened, and I don't want to question it too much.
So tell me about the studio, Rancho de la Luna, because it's quite legendary. It's recorded so many great albums. What was the vibe like? Well, set the scene for us. Is it sort of like dusty, and is it in a real desert?
It's bang smack. It's on the outskirts of the town of Joshua Tree, and it's just desert. Every direction you look is just hotness. I'm sweaty, and it was also 40 degrees. There was a heat wave the whole time we're there, so it all played a part. I've been watching documentaries. I've been watching snippets for years of this documentary of the studio. Sorry, and even Anthony Bourdain done a little thing over there when he was interviewing Josh, but it was exactly what I thought it would be, and more. Dave Ketching, who runs it, he's one of the original Queens of the Stone Age members. He's actually the one who named the band. He was a beautiful man and just so easy to work with and open to whatever. We had questions, he was open to everything, and he would say, like, this pedal here, Josh played that on a certain song, or this guitar was played on this song, or it's Trey's favorite drummer from Queens, and he's like, those are the same skins he played on this particular album that are on the drums. So just little trinkets sitting around. It's just got one of those magical vibes, and it's not a very big space. It's like it's pretty much like a small house. There's a kitchen sitting right in the middle, and Dave looked after us. He cooked beautiful food, and it was just a really cool vibe. In the actual live room, the aircon is super, super loud. So whenever we had to record, we had to turn it off, and we were just drenched every time we'd turn it off, and we were just completely drenched in like 1 or 2 minutes. So it was very sweaty times over there in the desert. Yeah.
Yeah. You often, Troy, when we see you, wear a lot of layers. You would have had to remove the layers.
Yeah, there was shorts and singlets over there, but I did do a few little trips out into the desert early morning and nighttime, and I was wearing my ponchos, so we could take some cool photos. Beautiful. You can't take a bad photo in the desert. You just shoot any direction, and photos are amazing.
I heard that, you and Dave Ketching, who runs the legendary studio, I heard that you and him had quite a good vibe, and he's also got you to record a track on a forthcoming studio 30th anniversary album.
Yeah, it's the 30th anniversary this year of Rancho, and it's probably the 3rd or 4th day that we got in, and he's like, hey, I just wanted to ask you something. We've got this album compilation. We've been getting, all our favorite artists to do a collaboration song with me, and we're going to put out a record, and wanted you to be part of it. So he said, "What do you think? And what are you going to say?" "Nah, I'm okay." No, he had a couple of little riffs and showed us, and then I kind of just made a bit of an order for the song, and it was happened really fast. And then on the last day, I wrote the lyrics, and it just all come together really quickly, and he was really happy with it. So he wants us to come over for the launch of it, which was supposed to happen this year, but it's been pushed over to April at the moment. It's in April next year in Vegas, but we're just waiting to get the firm details on that.
Who else is on the compilation? Like all the big names?
Oh, he said everyone: Josh, Dave Grohl, all of my idols. So it's pretty cool.
How did you enjoy playing this sort of music? Because it's a lot more aggressive and louder than any sort of Troy Kingi albums that we've had so far.
Oh man, it basically takes me back to my last years at high school. That actually brought me into the industry. That got me excited about the industry. I come from a Māori boarding school initially that only listened to R&B and hip hop, to a predominantly white school that was listening to Rage Against the Machine and Pantera and Metallica. So that completely made the foundations of who I am today. So it's kind of a homecoming for me, and I didn't have to double guess anything, because I feel like this is probably the roots of my music. You look at my Guitar Party, there's definitely little bits of it, but with this album, we've gone full force straight into the desert rock vibe, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy with it. I hope everyone else enjoys it as much as I do.
Yeah. I guess your fans are coming with you on the journey. They know that each album's going to be a different genre, don't they?
Yeah, well, it's it's something I had to get over early on in the piece, when I feel like everyone loved the Zygertron album, and I was like, I could easily just sit in this pocket and make everyone happy because I enjoy the style, but it's not challenging to me. It's not challenging to my listeners, and so yeah, we've had to just bite the bullet and just stay true to what we've been trying to achieve. And my audience is definitely down for the ride. I've got people every week asking what the next style is going to be. Am I going to do a techno album?
Yeah.
Am I going to do whatever? And I've even got a cool story about doing the folk tour of Delaney,
Yeah.
and a whole group of Māori fellas turned up. I think they were coming to listen to a Holy Colony set and ready to rage. Next minute, they're sitting down in a theatre listening to some arty stuff. And then they come up to me afterwards with a record to sign, saying that's the most amazing show I've ever seen. So you never know. You never know what. Sometimes people might not know what they want to listen to until you show them.
Yeah, I love that, Troy Kingi. So Guitar Party at Uncle's Batch was released the 18th of November back in 2016. So that means that you've sort of got, like, no pressure, but 2 years, 2 months to finish 2 more albums. Has this trip and this album, has it reinvigorated you so much you feel confident that you'll be able to make your 10-10-10 goal?
Yeah. Just a little. I'll give you a little insight into the next 2. We're working on a hip hop album for the next one that I'm producing, but I've put a call out to a lot of my friends in the industry to see if they want to be part of it. I'm trying to replicate what Black Thought did with Al Michael's Affair last year or the year before with Glorious Game album, or even going back to the Black Rock album that Black Keys did with Mos Def and RZA and that. So that's the next one, which we start recording in November. No pressure.
Yeah.
And then the final one, I don't know if I've said it yet, but we're going to Abbey Road for the final one. So,
Troy Kingi, you think you can't go any higher, and you're finishing off with that. And so what does that mean? You'll do a Beatles-esque sort of guitar album?
No, it's not going to be Beatles-esque. It's actually going to be massive orchestral. I'm saying it's like fake James Bond theme songs soundtrack. And probably the best example would be the You Only Live Twice. I think it's Nancy Sinatra. I keep coming back to that song with the strings and that.
Oh my God.
As if it was sung by Al Green. That's kind of what the last one's going to be.
That is so exciting. Troy Kingi, you're such a creative. I'm excited because you sound so positive and happy and great, which is, yeah, I'm so happy for you.
That's good because I probably sounded like a sad sack the last few years.
To be honest, it's funny now that you say that you were at that block pre this album because, yeah, you do sound a lot like, yeah, it's awesome. Hey, and you're heading out on tour, kicking off at Whammy in Auckland on the 6th of September, but you're going right throughout the country. Kirikiri, playing Gisborne, Napier, Hamilton, Tauranga. Who's in your band? Because you've got, your band is Troy Kingi and the Cactus Handshake. Is it similar members to previous bands?
The usual suspects. I got to have Marika and Trey every time, but we're bringing Ez on the trip as well. He's still over in Europe with Earth Tongue.
Oh my gosh.
But he gets back next week and we start our rehearsals. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Troy Kingi, thank you. And yeah, congrats on the new album.
Thank you so much, Charlotte.
That was another Music 101 interview podcast. I was speaking with Troy Kingi about his brand new album, Leatherman and the Mojave Green. I'm so excited about his other 2 albums that he's got left in the 10-10-10 series. It's so interesting to think about the different genres that he's done because many musicians like David Bowie and Brian Eno, they believe that a great musician changes their colours or, evolves over time. And Troy's definitely shown us that he can do that. Go and listen to the new album, Leatherman and the Mojave Green, but also keep an eye out, and I will too, on that new Rancho de la Luna compilation that Troy's got a track on. Until next time, take care. Go and watch that Troy Kingi documentary as well. It's up on rnz.co.nz. And tune in to Music 101 every Saturday from 1 p.m. on rnz.co.nz.